All right, this is the Chapter 1 test review. There's quite a few problems here, so let's get started. Use substitution method to determine whether the given ordered pair is a solution to the given equation. All right, so what do we got here? Y is equal to 8x minus 9. Let's see, in place of my y value, I'll put a question mark here. Minus 57, is that the same thing as 8 times x? X is minus 6. Minus 9, let's see. Does minus 57 equal negative 48 minus 9? A negative 48 and a negative 9 is a negative 47, so I'm going to answer yes. Number 2, 5x plus 4y equal to 30. In place of x, I'm going to substitute in 2 right there, and in place of y plus 4 times in place of y, I'm substituting in 5. Question is that equal to 30? Let's see, 10 plus 20, yeah, 10 plus 20 is 30. 30 equals 30. So yes, this point is on that line. It satisfies the equation. So it's on the line, yes. X and y intercepts. A couple of ways of doing this. You could actually solve that equation for y, put it into your calculator, have the calculator graph it. Look at the picture of your calculator and match it up to one of the four answers here that you can't see the bottom two. But the easiest way to do this is this. On the x, you have a little table of values here. X-intercept. The x-intercept has an x value, but its y value is 0. The y-intercept has an x value of 0, and the y value is the y value. So in this equation, to find the x-intercept, I'm going to replace, in place of y, I'm going to put in 0. So 4x minus 3 times y, in place of y, I'm putting in 0. That's equal to a minus 12. So 4x equals minus 12. Minus 3 times 0 is nothing. Dividing both sides by 4, x is equal to a negative 3. So I already know my x-intercept is negative 3, 0. And what have we got here? We've got a letter A and letter C. Both have the x-intercept as minus 3, 0, minus 3, 0. Let's solve for the y-intercept. The y-intercept has an x value of 0, and the y value is whatever the y value is. So in place of x, I'm going to substitute in 0 into the equation. Minus 3 times y equal to minus 12. 4 times 0 is 0. Minus 3y equals minus 12. Divide both sides by minus 3 here. And y is equal to a negative over negative is positive. So we got a y value of 4. So my x value, my y-intercept is 0, 4. 0, 4. For number 3 is letter C over here. I can move this up. Here's my x-intercept minus 3, 0. My y-intercept 0, 4. There you see it. They're both there. All right, letter C. Letter C. And then graphing it, there it is, minus 3, 0, and 0, 4. But you wouldn't have to graph it. What you're looking for right here is the correct x and the correct y-intercepts. All right. Number 5, same idea. A little table of values here. X and y. My x-intercept has an x value and a y value of 0. My y-intercept has an x value of 0 and whatever the y value is. So to find the x-intercept, I'm going to let y be 0. So 2x plus y equals negative 6. 2x plus, in place of y, I'm putting in 0. 2x equals negative 6. If I divide both sides by 2, x is equal to a minus 3. So I already know my x-intercept is minus 3, 0. Minus 3, 0. And where do I see minus 3, 0? I see it for letter C, and I see it for letter D. So we know it's not A, and we know it's not B. Because those have the wrong x-intercepts. Let's solve for the y-intercept, which means let the x value be 0. So 2 times x plus y equals 6. 2 times 0 plus y equals 6. 2 times 0 is 0. Y is equal to negative 6. It would be good if I copied it correctly. It is a negative 6. Negative 6. Alright, so my y-intercept is 0, negative 6. There's my x-intercept. 0, negative 6. If I look all the way down to letter D, I believe it is, yeah, there it is, minus 3, 0, which I knew already, and then 0, negative 6, letter D. Yeah, there it is. Make sure I copy that correctly. That's a negative. It's a negative. Yeah, alright, so I got it right. Okay. Now, as far as graphing, we could do a set table of values, but by this time, I've shown enough videos to get you familiar with the calculator. So, here's what I want to do. I'm just going to graph these bad boys. I'm going to turn my calculator on. The on switch is right there, obviously. And I want to enter this equation into my calculator. So I'm going to press y equals. I'm going to clear this guy off. And hopefully you can see that. Well, I'm going to put in negative. Negative sign is... The negative sign is 2 minus signs here. This is the negative sign, and that's the subtract sign. What I want to use is a negative. When I start my equation off, it's a negative sign, not a subtract sign. Alright, so this is my negative sign, and 2x squared. There's my 2. Right here is my x, and my square is right there. Alright, minus 2x squared, and you're not seeing that the best. Hitting graph, and this is not showing up at all, so I've got to make some plans on how to do this, because that's not even showing up whatsoever. We're not seeing that. So if you were to graph it, and if we could see this thing. Well, there it is. If I come real close to it, let me just see. No, that's not, well, that's not bad. It's better. It's not great. So I'm going to have to do something a little bit different. A little bit different. Nope, this is still not. Alright, enough of that. What you would do here, first of all, we would find out. This is a negative sign. This is a square term. It's a parabola. When you have a negative sign, it tells you the parabola opens downward. Alright, it's a square term, so it's a parabola. So all these are parabolas, and the idea is, here again, if you were to graph this, alright, on your calculator, number 5, you would see it would be letter C. Alright. We could do a table of values here, but it would take us a bit of time. What I'm saying is, you know, have x and have your y, and then you just basically choose x values, solve the equation for y, and actually plot them. For instance, let x be 0, and then my y value would be minus 2 times 0 squared, which is 0, 0, 0. But you see that down here. 0, 0, and then you would maybe plot, I don't know, plot 1. So y would be equal to minus 2 times x squared. So y would be a minus 2 times 1. Y would be a negative 2. So when x is 1, your y value is minus 2. So it couldn't be this guy here, because at 1 you're not at minus 2. But at here at 1 you're at negative 2. Alright, so we knew right going into this that this negative sign meant it's a square term, it's a parabola. The negative meant the parabola opened downward. So it was either choice of letter A or letter C. But doing just a couple of points here, you can see it. The reason I'm kind of doing this is that the calculator is not, well, I take that back. Son of a gun, there it is. Once again, y equals, you're not seeing them. I put in minus 2x squared, and I hit graph, and once again, it does this. So it did show up, and why it took a while to show up, and I'm not seeing it now, is, you got me there. But the calculator will do it, all right? Why it's not showing up as clear as I would like. Nothing's perfect. Table of values, use your calculator. Here again, let's see, we've got a equation of a line. It's a first degree equation. The slope is -3, so I know my line slants downhill. For number 6, so which are the ones that slant downhill left or right? Well, not this guy. This guy's going uphill. B is going uphill. C and D are going downhill from left to right. So it's not A, it's not B. Now, what I would do here is to find the y-intercept. So I want to let x be 0. So I'd have y is equal to minus, I guess you can see it. I'm letting, here's my equation. In place of x, I'm putting in 0. I'm finding the y-intercept. On the y-axis, the x values are 0. So this would be 0 minus 3, or y would be minus 3. So I'm looking for the point 0, comma, minus 3. Well, we knew it was either C or D. This has a y-intercept of positive 3. And this has the y-intercept, which I'm looking for, is a 0, negative 3. 0, negative 3. So, letter D. But here again, I could have graphed it. It's unfortunate you're not seeing the graph. And it's still not, well, there's nothing there. Alright, you got a square term here for number. Alright, so it's a parabola. The coefficient here is 1, so I know it's opening upward. But 3 out of the 4 open upward, so I know it's not D. So let me find the y-intercept by letting my x value be 0. So y would be in place of x. I'm letting my x value be 0. I'm finding my y-intercept. Y-intercept, if you can see me spelling that. Alright, so in place of x, here's my equation. I'm going to let my y value be 0. In fact, no, let's do it this way. I'll let my x value be 0, excuse me. I'll get it right. My x value is 0, my y-intercept. So in place of x, I'm substituting 0. I'm squaring it. And 0 squared is 0, minus 6 times 0 is 0. So all this cancels out, and you get y equal to 4. So I'm looking for the point 0, 4 for my y-intercept. And 0, 4, 0, 4. This is number 7. Alright, this has a y-intercept of 0, negative 5. This has got a y-intercept of 0, 5. Here you got a y-intercept of 0, 5. And right here, 0, 4. Alright, 0, 4. And there it is right there, 0, 4. Alright, that one y-intercept was 0, 5. This was also 0, 5, and here was 0, negative 5. This is the one that has the y-intercept of 0, 4. But once again, if my calculator was showing this, let me see if I can, isn't this crazy? X squared, that'd be x, my square term is right here. So that'd be x squared minus 6x. Well, there's my minus sign. No, I don't want the negative sign. I want the minus 6x plus 4. And hitting graph. And I'll come back to it in about a minute and this thing will show up then, but it's not showing up now, which is a slight delay, which I don't know why it's happening. But on your calculator, you can enter that in as y equals n, or just do what I did right here, find the y-intercept, in the case letter C. We'll work through how to get that showing up a little better. It's still not popping up. That is bizarre. Alright, distance formula. Let me slide this down. Distance formula, we've got an equation. The distance between 2 points is the square root of x2 minus x1 quantity squared plus the difference of my y values, y2 minus y sub 1 quantity squared. So my points in question are 4, 4, and 8, 9. I'm going to call this x1 and y1, x2 and y2. Alright, so formula says me take the square root, the difference of the x values. X sub 2, that's 8, minus x sub 1, which is 4. I want to square that difference. Difference of the y values, that's 9, y sub 2 minus 4. 9 minus 4, I want to square that. So this is equal to the square root of 4 squared plus 9 minus 4 is 5, 5 squared. So this is the square root, 4 squared is 16, 5 squared is 25. 16 and 25 equals, the sum of that is 41, square root of 41. Alright, and there you have it. And what he's done here is to take that and express it as a decimal. Alright. If you put that into your calculator, press enter, it'll give it to you as a decimal. Number 2, the points in question. 1, negative 3, number 2, I should say, is number 9. The previous one was number 8. 1 comma negative 3, the second point is 7 comma 5. So my distance is the square root of the difference of my x values. Alright, so I'm going to call this my x1, y1, x2, y2. So once again, it's the difference of my x's plus the squared plus the difference of my y value squared. Alright, so I have 5. My y, in fact, we do it this way. My x values. So 7 minus 1, x2 minus x1. X sub 2. 7 minus 1 quantity squared plus the difference of my y values, 5 minus a minus 3 quantity squared. So D is equal to, let's see, 7 minus 1 is 6, 6 squared, that's 36. 5 minus a minus is 5, 5 minus a minus is a plus, 5 plus 3 is 8, 8 squared is 64. 64 and 36 is 100. And the square root of 100 is 10. And there we have it. Number 11, the letter D. Letter D, distance between those 2 points, 10. Midpoint, just the average of the x values. So here's my x values. If I take 4 and I add 8, 4 plus 8 is 12. Half of 12 is 6. 5 and 3, the y values, half of 5 plus 3 is 8, half of 8 is 4. It's the midpoint. You average out the x's and you average out the y's. 4 plus 8 is 12, half of 12 is 6. 5 plus 3 is 8, half of 8 is 4. Letter A for number 10. That was straightforward. Midpoint, can't get much easier. And I guess we got another midpoint here. Let's see, we take my 2x values and average them out. 7 plus or minus 16. 7 plus or minus 16. I'm going to take that and divide it in half. So this is a minus 9 over 2. Well, that's easy enough. There's only one that had a correct X midpoint, so I'm not even going any further. You know, I could take 1 plus negative 16, which is a minus 15. Half of minus 15 is minus 15 over 2. But the minute I saw that was the right answer, there was no other answer that had the correct minus 9 halves. I knew C was the answer. All right. Equation of a circle. The general format of an equation of a circle is that r squared, in fact, let me write it this way. First of all, the center circle is referred to as h comma k, excuse me. H is just an x value, k is just a y value, and the radius is r. General format of a circle is x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared equal to r squared. So it's minus signs here. After the minus sign comes your h value, your x of the center of your circle. After the minus sign comes what's called a k, but that's the y value of your circle. So what do we got here? We got a center at 10, 0 and a radius of 5. So this would be x, this is my h value, 10, x minus 10 quantity squared plus my y value minus k. Well, y minus 0, y minus k is just y squared is just that, equal to the radius squared. If the radius is 5, then r squared, 5 times 5 is 25. So x minus 10 quantity squared plus y squared equals 25, number 12. Alright, and here it is right again. X minus 10 quantity squared plus y squared. And you see it right there, letter B, equal to 25. Alright, number 13. 13, let's see, he tells me that the radius is at minus, I'm sorry, the center is at minus 3, 1, and the radius is equal to the square of 19. So the general format of the circle is x minus your h value. X minus my h value. My h value is nothing more than my x here. All right, that's my h. That's h. And that's k. All right. So x minus my h value. X minus a minus 3. X minus a minus 3 is x plus 3. Quantity squared plus y minus my k value. Y minus my k. My k value here is 1. Alright, so it's y minus 1 equal to radical 19 squared. It's the radius squared. So if the radius is that, I got to square it. So x plus 3 quantity squared plus y minus 1 quantity squared. Radical 19 squared is just going to be 19. Number 13, and it looks like I've got it right here. Alright, it looks exactly like what I've got here, letter A. 13, letter A. Alright, so now we flip the script. He gives me the equation and he wants me to find the radius. Alright, so here's the situation. After the minus sign comes your h value. So after the minus sign is a 5. Alright, so what have I got here? This is number 14. Alright, so I know that my h value is after the minus sign comes a 5. Alright, and now y squared, I could write that as y minus 0 quantity squared. So I could say that y squared is this, so after the minus sign comes a 0. So there's the center of my circle, 5, 0. And there's only one that has the correct center, which is 5, 0. Now that is my r squared. The square root of 36 is 6, so I knew that was pretty good. Here's a simple way to do this. Your h and your k come after minus signs. So if you have a positive, you can write x plus 4 as x minus a minus, and y plus 2 as y minus a minus 2. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm changing that from a positive to a negative. I'm changing that positive to a negative. And then the square root of 9 is nothing more than 3. Number 15, letter D. That's the easiest way of doing it. I mean, I could write this as x minus a minus 4 quantity squared plus y minus a minus 2 quantity squared equals 3 squared. But notice after the minus sign is the minus 4, and then after the minus sign here is a minus 2. But it was just as easy. If I see pluses, I change them to minuses. If they're minus, I just use the number that comes after the minus sign. Alright. But in any case, there it is. There's your minus 4 after the minus sign. After your minus sign, there's a minus 2. As far as its domain and range, the domain, they give you the numbers here, but as they list them, they mix them all up. So the easiest way to do is to look at the range here. They seem to put the range in the correct order. My range is 1 minus 6 minus 2, 8, and 6. 1 minus 6 minus 2, 8, and 6. So when they list the range, they do it in the correct order. So that's a fast way of figuring out that is B, because they list the range. There it is, 1 minus 6, 1 minus 6, minus 2, there it is, minus 2. There's your 8 in your range, and there's your 6. You know, as far as your domain, 5 was there, yeah. 12 was there. Minus 5 was there. Minus 2 was there. But you see they put it all in different order. So when you're doing these, look at the range, because the range will be in the correct order that they listed. So once again, letter B. Number 17. Here again, I've done this on a calculator to show you to use y vars, or you can actually use a table, put that into y equals, and then go to your table set feature. But how hard is it to find f of negative 1? In place of x, I'm going to substitute in negative 1. So I got f of x is equal to x squared. So this is negative 1 squared plus 5 times x. X is negative 1 plus 7. Negative 1 squared is 1. This is a minus 5 plus 7. 1 and 7 is 8. Subtract 5, you get 3. Alright, number 17. Let us see. Find g of 0. So in place of x, I'm going to put 0. The minute I get 0 in the numerator, 0 squared is, if x is 0, 0 squared is 0. I end up with 0 over the square root of 4, which is 0 over 2. But 0 divided by anything is just 0. I mean, as soon as I found out that I had a 0 in the numerator, I knew my answer was going to be 0. I didn't have to do anything else. Find f of 1. Alright, so wherever I see x in my function, I'm going to replace it with 1. F of 1. Alright. So it's x squared, so it's 1 squared minus 2 times x. X is 1 plus 3. So this is 1 minus 2 plus 3. 1 and 3 is 4. Subtract 2. And that is 2. Number 19, letter B. I'm sorry, where I got here? Letter C, excuse me. 19, letter C. Yeah, I got it right here. Alright, f of 1 is equal to 2. That's easy enough substituting. Here again, once again, you could put this into your calculator and just graph it. There's no need of doing any... just wish my calculator was working. I've got another way of doing it. I just wish this was actually showing me. I could do it with the document camera, but it's just not. It's too bright. In either case, putting this into your calculator and graphing it. And if there's any questions, I can show you during the Zoom meeting on how that was done. So make a note of that. Number 20, when you graphed it, you would have come up with letter A. The basic square root function looks like this. And the add 4, you would think would take this and move it, the point here, the y-intercept, it would move it 4 to the right. Because of the plus, it actually moves it 4 to the left. And that's why it's that's why it ends up being letter A. (21) The domain. Instead of all x values, the x values start at -3 and they go all the way to 2, but they don't include 2 because of the open circle here. So it's a bracket at -3, comma, and an open circle at 2. Alright, a parenthesis, I should say, open circle. The open circle means that it's not included, so it's a parenthesis. Since that point was included, the closed dot, it's a bracket. So what do we got here? 21. 21, looks like, there you go. Now the range, it was -3 or 2, but you had two of them at the same domain. The range is your set of y values. Starts at -6 and it goes all the way up to -1, but doesn't include -1 because of the open circle here. Alright, so from -6 to +1. From -6, I'm sorry, to -1. Now -1 is not included. The difference between A and C is he included -1 here, but at point 2, -1, it's an open circle. That point is not included. Therefore, it's a parenthesis. If that had been a closed dot, then it would have been a bracket. It would have been letter C. But it wasn't, so it isn't. Domain is from -pi to 2pi. Number 22, from -pi to 2pi. Alright, -pi to 2pi. That's the only one that has the correct domain. That's it. Your range is from -4 all the way up to +4. But the minute I saw this was the only one that had the correct domain, I was all done. Alright, just to show you that the range was correct. 22. Letter A, both those points are included, so they're brackets. 23, find the slope. Well, I know the line is slanting down from left to right, so it's a negative slope, so it can't be C. And it can't be this. You know, I could apply the slope formula, so from this point I could go up 5 and over 5. So that would be my slope, my vertical change over my horizontal. So from that point I would go up 5 and I would go left 5, which is a negative, so this would be a -1. Or I could just do the slope formula. Difference of my y values, y sub 2 minus y sub 1. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm going to call this my y2 0 minus my y1, which is a -5, over 5 minus 0, 5 minus 0. So this would have been a minus times a minus. This would have been a, let's see, y sub 2. 0 minus a -5. Alright, so that's a +5. And difference of my x values. Alright, oh, this is a -5, excuse me. Alright, so -5 minus 0. So -5 minus 0 is a -5. Positive over negative, this is a -1. Alright, that's why it's the letter B, but I kind of knew that just from doing the slope. Alright, up 5 and to your left 5. 5 over -5, -1, we knew it's negative. Slants down to the left. Alright, let's find the slope here. I'm going to take the difference of my y values. Alright, 4 subtract 3 over the difference of my x values. 2 subtract 7. 2 subtract 7. So what is this? 1 over a -5, -1/5. 24. Letter C. 25. I need more paper, more paper, more paper, more paper. Find the slope and the y-intercept. Well, what you've got here is a horizontal line going through y equals -8. So -8's down here. negative 8. So you get a line, a horizontal line that goes through y equals negative 8. So the slope of a horizontal line is 0. That is a slope of negative 8. That's got a slope of negative 8. Slope is 0. So it's either this guy or that guy. Slope is 0. And what is the y-intercept? Well, it's 0, negative 8. The equation is y equals negative 8, so the y-intercept is negative 8. Number 25, letter C. This had positive 8, which would have been somewhere up there. Negative 8, if you can read that. Alright, 0, negative 8. The horizontal line that goes through the y-axis at negative 8. There it is. So y-intercept 0, negative 8. The horizontal line slope is 0, so it couldn't be 8. Nor could it be B. X equals 12 is a vertical line. Alright, a vertical line has a slope that's undefined, so it can't be A and it can't be B. Now, if it's a vertical line, x equals 12, here's 12 right here, it's a vertical line. So, a vertical line doesn't have a y-intercept, doesn't cut across, it's parallel to the y-axis, alright, doesn't have a y-intercept. And that guy there, they're talking about. Alright, it's not defined because it's a vertical line, and then there's no y-intercept because it's vertical, doesn't cut across the y-axis at all. 26, let us see. Alright, 27, 28, and 29, we've seen these. 27, we want the equation of a line that passes through, let's see, passes through the point negative 6, negative 9, and also goes through the point 8, comma, negative 9, number 27, excuse me, not 26. Alright, so I need to know a slope and a point. I got 2 points. Alright, I'll use either one of these, but I need to know the slope. Alright, slope is the difference of the y's in the numerator over the difference of the x's. I'll call this x1, y1, x2, and y2. So what have I got here? Y sub 2, which is a negative 9, minus y sub 1, which is also a negative 9. Now, what's happening here? I got a 9, minus 9, plus 9. My numerator is going to be 0. So I don't care what my denominator is. This is all going to be 0. But if I do it out, difference of my x values, this would be 8 minus a minus 6. 8 minus a minus 6, which would be 8 plus 6, this should be 14. Alright, but this is just 0. So if your slope is 0, you've got a horizontal line. Horizontal lines are always y equals something. Alright, and there it is. Y equals, guess what? Negative 9. Right, horizontal line. Y equals a number. And that's the only one that has y equals a number. Alright, just the other guys all have y-intercepts other than 0. Alright, this is negative 9, horizontal line. Alright, number 28. 28, the points are 3, 0 and negative 9, 5. So my slope is 5 minus nothing, minus 9, minus 3, difference of my x values. This is 5 over minus 12, minus 5 twelfths. Let's see how many have a slope of minus 5 twelfths. Well, guess what? That's the only one. I'm done. My slope is minus 5 twelfths. This line has a slope of minus 12. This slope is 3/14. Minus 3/14. That's positive 5 twelfths. Done. That was easy enough. Alright, horizontal line is always y equals something. Alright, what's y equal to? Minus 2. Vertical lines is always x equals something. X equals what? 9. Alright, so I'm looking for the equation that has a y equals minus 2 and a vertical line of x equals 9. This is number 29. Let us see. Here it is. Y equals negative 2, x equals 9. Done. All done. Horizontal and vertical lines, really easy to work with. Find out whether these lines are perpendicular, parallel, or neither. So we need to find the slope of each line and compare them. If they're identical, they're parallel lines. If their products are -1, or negative reciprocals, they're perpendicular, and nothing, neither one of those, it's neither. So our first equation here is, well, let me do it on a piece of paper again. Actually, I could have done it right down here, but I'm running out of room, so let's not change. So 30, we've got 3x minus 8y equals 6. I'm going to subtract 3x on both sides and divide through by a -8. This cancels out, so y is equal to positive. Negative or negative is positive, 3/8x. What this is, I could care less, is b value. Here's what I want, the slope of 3/8 for that first line. The second line is 32x plus 12y. Why does this look so familiar? I'm going to subtract 32x on both sides. Yeah, this looks very familiar. Divide by 12. Y is equal to, if I remember, this is by 4. This is a -8/3. Yeah, we've seen this one before in the homework. All right, -8/3 and positive 3/8. -8/3 and positive -8/3. If you multiply those two together, you get -1. They're negative reciprocals of one another. Perpendicular lines. Excuse me. Sorry for the duplication. We saw that in the homework already. Hopefully number 31 is not a duplication of anything. 31, 6x plus 2y is equal, to 8, subtracting 6x, dividing by 2. And y is equal to minus 3x plus 4. Hope this is not going to be one of those ones we've seen already. Second line, finding the slope. 3y is equal to 14. Subtracting 9x on both sides. And dividing both sides by 3. I could care less about this guy here. Let's see, negative over positive is negative. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've seen this one too. This is -3 slope, that's a -3 slope. These lines are parallel to one another. Alright. Just determine the equation of a line described. This is fairly easy. We need a slope and a point. So we have a point. We just need to take this equation, solve for its slope, and use the exact same slope because we want our new line to be parallel, so it's going to have the same slope, identical slope as this. I just don't know what this guy is right now. Well, we'll find out in a minute here. 5x plus 6y equal to minus 33. I'm going to bring the 5x over. I'm going to subtract 5x on both sides. Divide through by 6. So the slope of this line is minus 5/6. Here again, this is immaterial. This is what I want. I want my new line to have the exact same slope as this line because it's supposed to be parallel to it. So the slopes will be identical. So I got a point. The point he's giving me is negative 9, 0, and it's to have a slope identical to the line he gave me, which was negative 5/6. So y is equal to mx plus b. My y value, 0, is equal to my slope, minus 5/6, times my x value, plus b. So I get 0 equal to negative 4. There's an x value here too, an x variable. Minus 45 over 6x plus my b. If I add 45/6 to both sides, I get 45/6 positive equal to my b value. So 45 over 6, this would be what, 15 over 2 positive. So I'm looking for a line that has a slope of negative 5, 6 and a positive 15 halves for a y-intercept. And 30, 32. Minus 5, 6 as a slope. Alright, there it is, minus 5, 6. And I'm sorry, a minus times a minus here was a positive. So when I bring it onto the other side, it will be a negative. Alright, and this would be also a negative because negative 46, negative 45 over 6 to lowest terms is a negative 5 halves. These are identical. Alright, so that's why it's letter C. Yeah, this is a positive here, so when I subtracted or brought this on the other side, subtracted 45, 6, the 45, 6 became a negative, and then the lowest terms, negative 15 halves. Negative 15 halves. And I knew that was the slope because that was the slope of the original line he gave me. So my line had the identical slope. You know what? As soon as I found out that the slope of the line he gave me was negative 5, 6, and my line was to be parallel to it, then my line had to have a slope of negative 5, 6. Well, letter C was the only one that had a slope of negative 5, 6. This was positive. That wasn't even close. That was negative 6/5. This was 3/2. So I could have stopped. I didn't have to find a B value. If I'd been paying attention, I would have stopped right there. Number 33. The new line passes through the point negative 4, negative 1. And it's to be perpendicular to this line. So if it's going to be perpendicular to this line, my new line has to have a slope that's the negative reciprocal of this guy's slope. But I don't know his slope yet. Well, I got to solve for y to find the slope of this guy. So if I add 7x to both sides and then divide through by 9, I get y equal to 7/9 x plus 19/9. I could care less. That means nothing to me. This is the slope I want to work with. Well, this line, the line he gave me had a slope of 7/9. His perpendicular buddy has a slope that's the negative of 7/9, which is a negative. The reciprocal of 7/9 is 9/7. Notice, negative 9/7 times 7/9. When you multiply these, you get a negative 1. Negative reciprocal simply means is when you multiply the two slopes. Alright, the product is negative 1. Negative 9/7 times a positive 7/9. Okay. So I know my line has to have a slope of negative 9/7, and it goes through the point. It goes through the point. Slope of my line is to be negative 9/7, and it goes through the point negative 4, negative 4, negative 1. So y equal to mx plus b, my y value, minus 1 equal to my slope, which is to be a negative 9/7 times my x value, negative 4, plus b, minus 1 equals 36 over 7 plus b. If I subtract 36/7, and see, negative 1 is the same thing as negative 7 over 7, combined with a negative 36 over 7. So this is negative 7, negative 36 is a negative 43. That's my b value. Negative 43/7 and a slope of negative 9/7 and a b value of negative 43/7. There it is, slope of negative 9/7 and my b value, negative 43/7. And the fractions, the fractions are all that. It makes the problem just that more challenging. But once again, I knew the slope of my line had to be the slope of the original line was 7/9, so my line had to have a slope, a negative reciprocal of that, negative 9/7. Well, See, here's the deal. Either one of these could have been the right answer. That's why I had to do it all out. Here your b value is 0, which meant that the y-intercept was 0. So chances are it wasn't going to be that, but you had to do the whole thing out to find that it was D versus letter C. All right, we'll talk about this hopefully in these Zoom meetings.